How he deals with limited resources. There are 5,000 people in front of him, 5 loaves of bread, 2 fish. There's no bakery around. There's nothing around. And he takes the little resources and feeds the many. He teaches us that sometimes what you need is not a bakery. It's just a little resource in your hand that you break and distribute, and it goes a long way. Paul says, I have learned it. I've learned it. You learn it by looking at Jesus. We learn it by looking at people in the Bible, biblical heroes. We learn it by looking at normal human beings, people who have gone through stuff and come out. And more than anything, we learn it by observing the way God deals with us. The way God deals with each one of us is very different. I don't know about you. When I was growing up as a Christian, there were a lot of things that bothered me. Because there were some Christian brothers and sisters who always had a testimony. We used to have a fellowship, and anytime we met, somebody would come and say, oh, testimony. And they would tell you, oh, and I was this, and God did this, and God did that. And their whole life is full of testimonies. And I had no testimony. There are people who used to see things. When I got born again, we used to pray in the bush. I didn't even know that you could pray silently in a room. Just go to the bush and pray. Because my Christian mentor at that time was a military officer. And somehow he poured his military frustrations on all of us. You leave us in the bush to pray. And I'm not talking about nice bush. This is bad bush. And in the group I was in, anytime we prayed, they were asked, so who saw something? Who saw something? And there were some people who always seen things. So they asked, who saw something? And they said, oh, I saw this, and I saw a bed, and I saw this, and I saw that. I saw brother so-and-so, he was sitting, sad, and, people were seeing things, and I wasn't seeing anything. I said, God, what's wrong with me? I don't have testimony, and I'm not seeing things. So, when I tried very hard, and I was seeing stars. I just tried, couldn't see anything. People will come and tell me they had a dream, and they have this dream, and something happened. Didn't have a dream. I go to sleep, wake up. No dream. But I realized that, sometimes I'll be there and I will just feel something in my heart. I can't describe it. It's almost like a deep conviction inside me that something will happen or one way or the other. And it happens. So I realize I don't see. I don't dream. But I sense. Now, if that's how God deals with me, you have to learn it. You have to learn. Paul says, I have learned it. You have to learn. Because if you don't learn, you're going to try to be like somebody. So you go for prayer meeting, God is speaking to you in your heart, and you're closing your eyes, oh, show me, Lord, show me, Lord. Nothing is going to happen. And there are people who see, there is the legitimacy. People who see vision, there are people who dream, and there is legitimacy. That's how God speaks to them. So learn the way God deals with you. Paul says, I've learned. Now, and sometimes you have to learn to trust God. And I think I've shared this before. When I was entering full-time Christian ministry in 1982. I had been working for a while, and I quit my job. And in the weirdest way, God says, I'm going to teach you how to live without money. That's not a good thing. That's not the kind of thing you want a loving father to tell you, because we all believe in God for breakthrough. And God says, I'm going to teach you how to live without money. And so I never had money. I'll go for months without money. And I was preaching all over. I was preaching everywhere. Everywhere there has to be preaching, I'll preach. I was following out people all over. I was preaching in villages and doing crusades and just running everywhere with no money. Many times I'll board transport with no money and go and sit in the transport, and somebody will just pay for me. I just bought by faith. It sounds silly now, but that's how I used to do it, by faith. And I said, Lord, if they kill me, I'm not the first to die for the sake of Christ. They beat me up, they beat me for Jesus. Nobody beat me up, but my fare was paid almost every time. I pray for everything. Pray for everything. If the iron breaks down, I lay hands on it and it starts heating. Because God says He's going to teach me how to live without money. I don't have money to repair iron, just lay hands. Everywhere, just miracles. I used to live on a tall flat, 4th story. And the problems of Ghana didn't start today. There was no water. On the 4th floor, water doesn't flow. So you have to go downstairs, fetch water in the bucket, and go to the 4th floor. So one day, I just said, I believe God is able to do anything. I lay hands on the tap, and I command water to come out. And water came. Water came. I don't have a plumber. I only have faith. I realized this faith thing can solve plumbing problems. Now, at that time, when the water was coming, I thought it was coming because, Ghana Water has changed its habits and is pumping water. So we were number 7, because there are 2 flats on each floor. So number 1, 2, we are number 7. Number 8 is the other flat number. So I went to the guys living in number 8, and the guy in number 8 came to our house and said, there's water here. I said, yeah, that's what the water company has opened the tap. He said, no, there's no water in our place. I went to number 8, no water. Number 7, there's water. Number 8, no water. Number 6, no water. Number 5, no water. Number 4, no water. Number 4, no water. Down, no water. Number 7, water. Now, I'm not just saying this to impress you. I'm just saying God says, I'm going to teach you how to live without money. And I went through that period. If I needed money, the highest money I would receive would be 2 cedis. 2. And somebody will come and say, Brother Mensa, get this 2 cedis. Thank you. Spend it. I'm broke again. And then one day, I just heard deep in my heart, God says, you've learned a lesson. Now you can have money. Somebody gave me 10 cedis in 2 cedis. God has a sense of humor. And from that time, I learned that if I don't have money, I don't fret. I don't worry. Because I've learned that God is more than enough. So Paul says, if you want to do all things through Christ, you have to learn it. Some of the hardships you're going through, they are training schools. And one thing about training school is if you keep failing it, you repeat class. When you see the same problem happening to you over and over and over again, you are a bad student. Most likely. You're not learning the lessons. Because if you learn the lessons, God will promote you to another level. And throughout my life, I have done some amazing things without money. Amazing things. And I can tell you so many of them. I don't want to tell you. You go and publish it in the newspapers. But the point I'm making is, Paul says, I have learned. Learn the way God deals with you. Learn from him. Learn trust. Learn confidence in the Lord. Learn to keep your still. Learn to keep quiet and let God defend you. I have seen God defend me in ways I never thought possible. When you're quiet and just God says, just keep quiet. I will talk for you. And he will talk for you. When people who are powerful have already decided, and I can give you many testimonies, when powerful people have decided, finish him. And out of nowhere, God raises help. And later when you get to know how things occurred, you know only God could have done that. So when you get to a point where you have no one to help you, no one to hold your hand, no one to support you, you know, I have learned how to abase and to abound, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Today everybody has left me, but I can still do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Some of the things God wants you to do, it doesn't require money. It just requires faith in him. And he wants you to trust him, so he's going to deny you money until you trust him. And the day you surrender and say, Lord, I believe you are able to do it, watch what he will do in your life. When Paul says, I can do all things through Christ, look at the journeys he went on, the places he preached the gospel. Nobody spread the gospel more than Paul within the technology available at that time. And yet, many times he was broke. Many times he was in prison. Many times he was beaten. Many times he was cast aside. And when he talks about his litany of problems, you wonder, how could a man with so many problems do any good? But a man with all these problems, with shipwrecks, with hunger, with stripes, with betrayals, with all